Hello and welcome to this edition of Biology Bites. Now, I'm not sure if all of you know this, but I am actually a wildlife biologist. I've done a lot of studies on fish and read a lot of studies on fish. And today's Biology Bites is about those people, and I get them all the time. I don't know if you guys get these people, but I get them all the time. A lot of times when I'm filming, when I'm out fishing. People that yell at me and telling me I'm going to kill that bass because I held it out of the water too long. You know, sometimes when you're filming or sometimes you're there, you catch a fish and like other people see it and they come over and you're holding it up, you're holding it by the lower jaw, you're showing it to people. Everyone's like, wow, yeah. And then you get somebody that walks by and goes, dude, you're holding that bass too much out of the water, it's gonna kill it, this and that, and it's gonna have brain damage. And then a lot of times they'll go, how would you like it if I held you underwater that long? These people, fish and humans are totally different. The air has a lot of oxygen, the water has less oxygen. We have internal lungs, they have external lungs. I mean, they have their gills, it's external, it's not inside their body, it's outside. And one of my responses to them is, well, yeah, they're out in the air. They're out in the air, the air has a lot of oxygen. Their gills are getting air on them. They're wet, it's probably still transferring some oxygen. If you have a fish tank, how do you get oxygen into that fish tank? You put an aerator. If you have a pond in the summer, a lot of them they put aerators in because air transfers oxygen into the water. I mean, there are some plants and algae in that put oxygen into the water, but it's usually the air, or they have a fountain, you know. And then even fish do this. If you go to a pond in the middle of summer that's really hot and it's all like icky looking at, you will see a bunch of fish on top of the water gulping in air. They're gulping in air. The air has more oxygen than the water. They're gulping in air and transferring it past their gills so they get more oxygen so they can live. And so these people think us holding them out of the water, it's like if you put us underwater. We can't breathe water. If we go underwater and try and breathe water into our lungs to try and get oxygen from it, we will die. But fish, fish are totally different. It's not an external lung. They're getting oxygen passing through their gillets, getting the oxygen from the water. You hold them out of water and there's air passing it over. Air, just through all those things I mentioned, aerators, all that other stuff, it's passing over them just so their gillets don't dry out. Then they would start getting starved of oxygen. So that's why I'm kind of on here to bust this myth about killing bass by holding them out of the water too long. We as fishermen, and I get in my comments too, people leave a comment because we caught a fish, we held it out, we took pictures of it, all that, then we put it back in. We as fishermen, that we don't really hold them out of the water too long. Trust me. And I have a couple studies coming up to prove that point at the end of this video, so stay tuned. But how long do we actually hold them out of the water? I mean, you see us on shore, we catch one, like I said, we show it to our friends, we might weigh it, might take a few pictures, we move it back. How long does that usually take? 2 minutes, 3 minutes? I mean, it's not like a half hour or an hour. And to prove this point, I have some footage of my last fishing trip. We caught a fish. We caught it, we took it out, we took some video of it. Video, not pictures, because I get my thumbnails off the video, not. We held it out, we did some, posing with it, all that other stuff. Then we put it back in. And the time was not very long. And so I'm going to play that clip now. And when I start it, I'm going to show you the time in the video. And then when I end it, I'm going to show you the time in the video. And I'm going to let it play all the way through, just so they go, oh, you clipped that, you cut out, you probably had it out 10 minutes longer than that, blah, blah. Anyway, here it is. Here's a clip. I'm going to tell you what time it started in this video you're watching, just so you don't have to look. And that. And, all right, here we go.
Decided to come out and play, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. All red on the belly.
Oh, yeah.
Is that thing getting ready to shoot freaking babies out of it, or what?
No, it's not red at all.
Gosh.
Butt's not red at all?
It looks so pregnant. That red
It's
spot.
just fat. Yeah, guys. First fish of the day. That's probably almost 4. Definitely like 3.5, 3 3/4. Look at its nose. Got something on its nose right there. Look.
Looks like it's been like chomping a bunch of dirt.
Ah, look at that, guys. Yeah.
It's like a worm on its nose or a tumor.
No, it's just infected.
Nice fish, buddy.
You want to take it? Oh. No, not that one, the front one. That one, hold it. It's video, but it's in slow-mo. Let's get a thumbnail.
It's been 7 seconds.
It means like 2 minutes on slow-mo. Chunker.
Yeah?
Alright guys, got a thumbnail. Look at how fat that fish is though, seriously. He's like 4 inches thick. Look at how thick it is, guys. I mean, seriously.
It's a meatball fish, dude.
Wow. Okay, that was like 2 minutes and 9 seconds. And, you know, I said most of us 2 minutes, that was 2 minutes, 9 seconds, 3 minutes, maybe even 4 minutes. But then you get these people that said, oh, well, if I stuck your head underwater for 4 minutes, would you be able to breathe? You'd get brain damage, all this other stuff. And, okay, here's the 2 studies. I have these 2 studies. This is in an old FLW magazine. It's right here. Our bass fragile. So there's 2 studies in here. And the first study, they had a tank, and they had the fish in the tank, and people reached down and they grabbed them, right? Because when you're reaching out, you're not just going to grab them, they're going to swim around. So they were trying to mimic, you know, the stress of being caught because they're kind of panicked and they're swimming around. They caught those fish and they held them out of the water by the lower lip, like most of us bass fishermen do. And they had a lot of fish. They held them out in different increments of time. They don't say how long each time, but they did different times. But the longest batch of fish, they held out of the water for 10 minutes, 10 minutes straight, by the lower lip, out in the air. Then they put all these fish back in a tank. They kept them in a tank, observed them for 24 hours. None of the bass died. None of them were going around like they were, you know, mentally retarded and bumping into things and like they had brain damage. But up to 10 minutes. It's a lot longer than most of us bass fishermen ever hold a bass out of water. Okay, so that was just study number 1. Now this one, they had them in a tank and they reached down and they caught them to try and simulate, you know, the stress of being caught. The second one, they actually caught the fish on rod and reel, and then they held the bass by the lower lip out of water for up to 15 minutes. I mean, they had different groups. You know, it might have been 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, up to 15 minutes. Then they put them into a holding tank. Then they actually put external transmitters on all of the fish, released them back in the lake, tracked them for 5 days. 5 days, and there was no mortality of any of the fish. I mean, that proves it right there. I mean, we hardly ever hold fish for, like I said, that one, it seemed like forever, but it was only 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Not even anywhere near the time they held bass out of water in these 2 studies. And there was no mortality. I mean, the first one, they actually caught them from a lake on the hook, so they had the full experience, released them and tracked them for 5 days, and none of them died. So that's why I said I don't understand. I've always told people that they think of fish in human terms. They think like us, and they think they breathe like us. It's totally different. Yes, you can't hold me underwater for 15 minutes. You couldn't hold me underwater for 10 minutes. I would die. But that's not the way fish work. It's external. They get it through their gills. They're exposed to the air. Air has more oxygen in the water. Their gills are still wet. It's giving them oxygen even when you're holding them out of the water. So I hope I busted this myth. It's not true. You'll be fine. We're not killing bass. They're not dying when they swim away. I mean, unless you gut hook them or rip their gillets out or something like that. They're gonna be completely fine. I hope this helps. Until next time.